Occupational English Test. Listening Test. This test has 3 parts. In each part, you'll hear a number of different extracts. At the start of each extract, you'll hear this sound. You'll have time to read the questions before you hear each extract, and you'll hear each extract once only. Complete your answers as you listen. At the end of the test, you'll have 2 minutes to check your answers. Part A. In this part of the test, you'll hear 2 different extracts. In each extract, a health professional is talking to a patient. For questions 1 to 24, complete the notes with information you hear. Now look at the notes for extract 1. Extract 1. Questions 1 to 12. For questions 1 to 12, complete the notes with a word or short phrase. You now have 30 seconds to look at the notes.
Nice to see you again, Tom. How are you today?
I'm okay.
So I understand that since I was seeing you that while ago, that you're in hospital again.
Yeah.
So can you tell me a bit more about what happened before that?
Well, it was a few months ago now. I'd done quite well for a number of years. Sort of kept it under control, really, but...
Yeah, I mean, I've not seen you since your gap year, wasn't it?
Yeah, so that was 4 years ago. And so it was quite disappointing to go through it all again. But it sort of started at the towards the end of university. So I was doing law, and I was on course for a first, and I was just coming up to my final exams, and I had a few essays and a few exams, and so I started working really hard. I felt like, right, now is the real time to put the effort in and to put the work in. So I started to step a bit later, take on a bit more work, so my stress levels sort of start to increase over a while. I was drinking a lot more coffee, took a few caffeine tablets, and energy drinks. A few people, because sort of the environment at the time was a lot of people were pushing themselves that they wouldn't normally do, and some people were taking Ritalin.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
Did you take any Ritalin?
Yeah, because it was just like that was necessary at the time, and.
How did that affect you?
Well, it sort of increased my confidence at the time. Everything that was going on, I was becoming a lot more productive. A lot more confident. I was working harder. My brain was working faster, and so my momentum was building up and up throughout the period. And so I was relishing it, and I was doing a lot of work. And
so what did that mean to you then, to be at that time? Because it sounds like you put quite a lot of pressure on yourself. You've been doing really well at uni, and this was it. This was the time. What did it mean to you to be feeling like that, kind of more awake and more energised, maybe? Yeah, well,
for me it was my sort of time. So I'd spent 3 years. I was in control. I was doing well. It wasn't really part of my life at the time. I didn't really talk to any of my friends about it. But then I started to just sort of grow into it. And I took the opportunity to, enjoy this time. And it didn't really reach its peak until after my exams. I was still functioning throughout my exams. I have since found out that I didn't get the results that I wanted to.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think that was?
Well, I thought that I was working harder than ever, but it was misjudged, I think, and so I didn't perform to the best of my ability when it came to the exams, and so I didn't achieve a first time. I only got 2-1.
What else was happening for you around that time? I mean, you talked about the pressure of your exams and staying up for them. Was anything else going on for you around the same time?
Well, so it was the end of university, and that was the time where, as soon as that period stopped of work, then I was sort of let off the leash a bit, and I just sort of to grow even further. So I mentioned I was taking Ritalin, drinking a lot of coffee, and as soon as exams had stopped, substance abuse sort of took a bit more of a hold, and I just sort of grew into this person who I thought was the guy that everyone wanted to be around and to see, and so I made sure that I was just everywhere that to be seen. I was,
so this is like the gap after you finish the exams, but before the results are out. Those kind of few weeks.
So we were just going out a lot, if not every night.
You said that you were taking Ritalin and drinking a lot of coffee.
Yeah.
And using other drugs as well.
Yeah, it sort of developed into cocaine, a lot of cocaine, MDMA, MCAT.
And how did they affect you?
I honestly was on cloud 9 at the time. And so in this sort of role as the man about town, I spent a lot on alcohol, drugs, clothes. I invested in this technology. Having not had to deal with my illness throughout university, and for it not being a part of that world, I didn't confront those symptoms in a way that's going to have long-term sort of stability. It began with doing the work that I needed to do. That's just what I needed to do in order to achieve my goals and to achieve what I want to. And then I just let it take hold, and
Extract 2. Questions 13 to 24. For questions 13 to 24, complete the notes with a word or short phrase. You now have 30 seconds to look at the notes.
So tell me when this started.
Started on Tuesday morning around 9 a.m. He started to get a few red patches right across his belly and a few sporadic on his legs.
Okay. And has he been sick prior to that?
He had just a runny nose.
Okay.
We went camping, so about Sunday morning he had a fever and he started his runny nose.
Okay, so started with fever and runny nose,
Yep.
and then this rash appeared.
Yep, on Tuesday.
On Tuesday. And I know you were here in the office a couple days ago.
Yep.
And they did some blood work, and at that
Yep.
point they were pretty sure this was a viral illness.
Yep.
And I remember talking to you on the phone that it was getting purplish.
Right.
And
that was concerning because we know that can
Right.
be bad
Right,
things.
exactly. So you had a fussy baby,
Fussy
and
baby.
This little fellow's only 7 months old.
Yep.
Fussy with fever and then a purplish rash,
Yep.
and you were absolutely right to call.
Okay.
Because sometimes that can be meningococcus. And meningococcus is a bacterial infection that can kill you like in 24 hours.
Yeah, not good.
And so I'm absolutely happy you called.
Awesome.
So as we look at these purplish lesions, when I rub really hard with my finger, you can see they turn white. Turn normal skin color. The purple goes away momentarily and then it returns. Any rash that you can make blanch, so you can make it go away, that's okay. Especially, we'll take a look at this little guy's face here. He's still, I mean, he's not super happy, but he's still pretty alert. And that's always a good sign. When you have that bad rash that doesn't blanch and a kid who's just, this particular reaction, because we've evaluated this young fellow twice in 2 days, this has been progressive. And what's happening here is we've got bright red, pink, new rash that's actually warm to touch if you look at this rash. And as that rash disappears, it leaves a bluish, sort of almost a bruised looking purple rash, which you can see areas that are sort of purplish. Basically, this is hives. This is an allergic reaction to the virus. So what we have here is a viral infection, and his body is mounting an immune response as well as an allergic response. And hives come and go. A classic hive lesion, you can see one on this shoulder where there's got a little central clearing. It's kind of a little more whitish in the middle and red around it. That's sort of an example of a target lesion that you see with hives. The key with hives is, in general, your child is not that ill. Now, he happens to be somewhat ill because of his viral illness and fever, so that's what makes this particular situation both confusing and very important to have it evaluated by somebody that can really make sure you're not missing that petechiae and purpura, the non-blanching rash that can be associated with meningococcus. What we're going to do for this, since we know it's hives, if you're at home and you have a hives-like reaction, maybe a mild one, you're going to use something like Claritin or Benadryl, just those basic anti-hive, anti-allergy type medicines, and sometimes that's enough. In a more severe case like this, we're using prednisone. It's a stronger anti-inflammatory, but you definitely would not want to be getting your hands on prednisone without having a doctor evaluate first, because prednisone can cause problems if you're giving it to a child who has a bad infection. So that's the key. That's why I wanted you to come in. And thank you for doing that,
Yes,
coming in.
absolutely.
And he's a trooper. Now, of course, you should know that prednisone can make you really grumpy. So if you get like beyond grumpy, so some kids who are so irritable on prednisone that they want to be picked up, and as soon as you pick them up, they want to be put down. As soon as you put them down, they want to be picked up. If that scenario happens to where he's just more miserable than he was before, then just stop it.
Okay.
And this is going to run its course. Because it's related to the viral illnesses often run for 7 to 10 days.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it's possible his hives could last for 7 to 10 days.
Or since we're on our 4th day
Yeah.
or something like that.
You know, the other main causes of allergic reactions, we think of medications, and then we think of certain foods like
Yep.
peanuts and eggs and strawberries,
Yeah.
but usually the peanuts is the top of the list, or shellfish.
Okay.
If you have an allergic reaction to a food, you stop that food,
Right.
within 2-3 days it's gone.
Interesting.
So even though I think he had strawberries a while
On
ago,
Sunday, yeah.
you know, today is Thursday, it would have gone away if it was just from that strawberry that he had 4 days ago. So I'm fairly confident that this is hives related to his viral illness.
So it would look just like this with the food allergy possibly, but it would dissipate
Possibly.
Much
I
quicker?
haven't seen too many food allergies quite this severe.
Okay.
But that's the general idea. These red lesions with the little slightly raised hives are also irregular margins. They kind of come and go. That's the real hallmark of hives. Also, is that coming and going.
That is the end of Part A. Now look at Part B.